Welcome to Mudville, podcast about baseball and cinema. I'm Brody Staub.
I'm Nolan Rabine.
We hope you enjoy. Of whatever hell this is, that is the new normal in 2023. What year is it?
I think that's the one.
Yeah. Well, do you remember a couple years ago when San Francisco turned red? This
I
is
do.
like,
Yes.
it's,
I remember.
similar
Well,
vibe.
I remember the year 2019 that I went to California. There were like 4 or 5 wildfires that year.
That's crazy.
And then one of them actually was on the hill where the apartment building that they had us living on. Like I walked out onto my
Jesus
balcony
Christ.
one afternoon and I could see the hill on top of us was on fire. So they made us like go chill in the
Made
HEB
you
parking
leave?
lot.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. They didn't like, hey, we have another backup spot for you to live. They were like, no, just hang out at the grocery store.
Yeah, they just you can go hang out at the grocery store.
Go down to the Circle K.
Yeah, I was
we'll get
okay
back
with
to
it
you.
though because it got me a week extension on the worst paper I ever had to write. Like
Yeah,
the
that's-
most, not that it came out the worst, but like
Sure.
the most obnoxious assignment that I ever had to write.
That's a fun little silver
It was
lining,
like
isn't it?
yeah, it was like a media law class or something.
yeah,
so
I had the same class.
Yeah, and I wrote my paper about censorship
Morgenstern, I
in
think.
rap.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I hadn't even started it at the time, and I had like a week left, and it had to be 15 pages. So I was like, "This is going to be fun." And then I got an extra week to do it.
I did.
And then-
I did that paper on libel and slander in regards to social media, which was there was a lot of Elon actually in that paper. I remember
bet there was.
It was right after he called that dude who tried to go save the Chilean minor kids. He called him a pedophile,
Of course,
right? So
Sure,
it was
naturally.
right around then. Then he won a lawsuit where
That's-
they tried to sue him naturally.
See,
Money's
I think-
great, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you probably had that straight because like now you're never going to like defame or slander anybody on your Twitter account, whereas I was never going to have my hip hop music censored.
That's yeah, that's true.
I didn't
That's a good
exactly
point.
write about something that was going to be very useful in my career.
Right.
Um,
Well, now I know.
But you know, hindsight's 2020. Anyways,
There's just a lot of stuff about like actual malice and I don't know other stuff. I don't remember. This was years ago at this point. But
Yeah.
anyway, what's happening in
fires
the
back
world today?
then.
Speaking
Fires
of
are now
dominant
here.
red things, Ellie De La Cruz.
Oh, brother.
What a
Oh
transition!
man, that I don't even know if we can go with that. I think I have to think of something else to transition
I don't
because that
know.
was so sad.
I kind of liked it, but
he hit a ball 458 feet
458
like an
feet,
hour ago.
115 miles an hour, and it was a ball that was about to hit him literally in the nards. So I don't know how the hell he did that, but
The defensive dinger, and then he got a triple the very next at bat and scored on a hit. This Dodgers Red series has
And-
been so much fun.
we would talk about the next 2 homers that he hits in this game, except they haven't happened yet. So,
So
those
you
at
guys
bats
know
have not
about
happened.
them,
Yeah, they're
but
coming.
we don't.
We're waiting for them currently.
Anything else happened to you this week?
Yeah, what else happened this week then? Baseball wise, I don't know. Okay, let's do personal life.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Yeah, not much. Played some Monopoly. We hung
Okay.
out in the park on Sunday. Then we had some friends come back. We played Monopoly. That was a good time.
Who won that game?
Some fucking nerd named Dolan, James
Oh,
Dolan, or something like that.
Yep.
I
Nope.
don't know. Jimmy Dolan.
I won. It was me.
I think it was actually
I
it was
pulled
the
off
owner of the New York Knicks.
the
if
W.
memory serves.
Um,
I don't know what you're talking about.
We had a very fun Sunday. We went to the park. I filmed people throwing a frisbee. It was
great.
It was electric.
Played some baseball. Had a little catch. It was good
Yeah.
stuff.
It was a
Electric
fun time.
day. That's a good way to put it.
I got on Blue Sky this week, the new
Oh, that's
Twitter
right. Yeah.
replacement. Somebody sauced me an invite code finally.
Can I now get one? Is that how that works? Because you're on there, or is it like
I don't have any yet.
okay? How does
but-
it work? Is
so-
it like a follower thing?
Yeah, so I think it's like after you're active on there for a certain amount of time, they send you a number of invite
Okay.
codes that you can then give to people, and I think it like I think that there's some sort of
Dude.
algorithm where it's like the more active you are, maybe the more codes you get.
Okay, so
I
Mudville
think they need to
listeners,
just
go
give everybody like 5 codes right now.
if you have a
But-
Blue Sky, go follow. Yeah, they're turning it into Google Plus. Bad idea.
Yeah, no, the famously successful platform,
Of
Google
course,
Plus.
the one that was supposed to be tied with the also famously successful Google Glass.
Yeah, there's like
Uh,
a weird lack of baseball content on there. Like nobody's talking about sports at all. Like I searched.
tech people are usually, I would think, the first to something like that, and baseball people do not usually.
Yeah,
the Venn diagram of that is 2 very distinct circles.
it's a very interesting population over on Blue Sky right now. It's like tech developers.
Is it funny?
Yeah, no, definitely. It's definitely funny. It's not like
Prime Twitter.
well, no, of course not. But it's not like the exclusively business content
Sure.
sites or anything like that. Like I remember they were trying. Well, yeah, well, sure, but they were trying to replace Twitter with Mastodon at first,
Yeah,
and like
yeah,
that was
yeah.
just never going to happen because it wasn't any fun.
Right.
But this one does have like fun people on it. Like
Okay.
it's basically just like tech developers.
Is Drill active?
Not yet.
Okay.
Like
When that
Elizabeth
happens,
Warren
I'll be
people, like trans women, and me. So
There's your title for the episode.
no, but yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. Like I'm liking it
Man.
more because, well, one, you don't have to see any of the shitheads that you get on the other site.
Right. I think, isn't that just everybody that hangs out around the place you work in the West Village? Elizabeth Warren people, trans women, and you.
Not quite. I work around the suits.
That's fair. Yeah, you are a little further
If I
down
was a
than
little
that.
bit more up, maybe I would get a better
Yeah,
demographic.
Man.
I get the finance dorks,
that's fair.
which is about as bad as you can get. in
It's
city.
the opposite. It's about as
Yeah.
opposite as you can
I
get.
don't want finance dorks.
Yep. No, usually not fun.
I'm trying to like establish myself as a founding member of Baseball Blue Sky, just because like it doesn't seem like it's a thing right now at all. So
Blue Sky's a
this
good
seems
name
like
for
I'm a
baseball
space.
content in general. I don't know. Like, it's not that it's directly tied with sports, but like, if there is a sport that would have something to do with the phrase blue sky, it
It'd be
would be baseball. So.
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah.
I'm into that.
Yeah.
If anybody's on there, go check me out. I'm nolanr.bsky.social
They
or whatever.
have to fix that. Like,
No, yeah, they 100% have to fix
awful.
that. I don't like that at all. But I'm
Did you
sad
really
that-
get at Nolan? Is that like essentially
no,
what it is?
I got I'm Nolan R. I
Okay.
wanted to get just at Nolan, but
Yeah.
somebody had it, so I had to settle for the initial. But
right. If I get on
hey,
there soon enough, maybe I could get at Brody.
maybe I can sell this handle to like Nolan Ryan. That'd be sick.
Yeah, see if he wants it. Maybe Nolan Gorman's middle name is like Reggie.
Yeah, I don't know.
See if you could do that. Nolan Arenado.
Ooh,
There you go.
I mean, okay.
Yeah. You should have just taken a famous person's name. Why didn't you do that?
Brad Pitt.
Yeah,
dot,
at
yeah.
Brad Pitt dot Blue Sky.
DiCaprio.
My God.
Tom Cruise dot B Sky.
Yeah.
I could post at Cthulhu. What's up? Or is that's
that a thing?
that's not Scientology.
Sure.
Cthulhu is something
no,
else.
they have
Xenu.
Zerg. That's
Zerg.
right. I think Zerg is the thing from Toy Story.
I think it's Xenu.
I think it's Xenu. Tom Cruise dot Blue Sky dot what up.
This just proves that we're not
Or
Scientologists
Xenu dot
because we
Blue
don't know
Sky.
anything about it.
That's true.
Yeah.
I think there is something about that.
Dude, I could have been their god.
You could have.
Shit.
You fucked up, man.
Oh my god,
Missed
I had the opportunity.
You could
Well.
have controlled Tom Cruise like a little puppeteer.
I could have made I could have made Top Gun 8.
Yep.
Or no,
3.
Mission Impossible 8.
Oh, Mission Impossible 8, sure.
Or Top Gun 3.
Yeah. Or Top Missile. Actually, I'd watch a movie called Top
A
Missile.
movie called Top Missile.
Top Impossible. Impossible Gun.
Mission
Actually, that
and
sounds like a
Tops.
Sunny movie.
Yeah. Speaking of
Impossible
Sunny,
Gun.
it's actually
Yeah.
back tonight. Did you notice that?
Tonight. I did not know it was
their
back
season's
tonight.
premiering.
I'm
We'll have to
actually
watch
very
it.
excited. Yeah, I've been listening to a lot of the Sunny podcasts, and it's they made a point in a recent episode that I listened to, which is that they are a very select group who not only write, produce, and created the show that they got famous from, but they also are the actors on it.
Yeah.
So they have a very specific and unique kind of viewpoint on their own, creative kind of body of work.
They're the ideal.
Yeah, it's fun, and they've been going back through and rewatching the show as they do episodes. So it's like it's kind of fun to hear them criticize and analyze all of their previous episodes that we have seen a million times, and then being like, this didn't really work, or I remember we were fighting about this was an interesting decision, Glenn was pissed about this, or what. Glenn is pissed about a lot of things. He's eerily similar to Dennis Reynolds, except he's done a shit ton of psychedelics apparently.
Oh wow.
Whereas I don't think Dennis has. But they're fun. I mean, it's exactly like the show. They just yell over each other, and it's good insight if you like the show. It's
That
worth a
sounds
listen.
incredible. I gotta tune into that more.
It's a good time.
Let's get into some baseball.
Sure.
Jacob deGrom, Tommy
Yeah.
John. He's out for this year. He's
Did
out
you
for
see the
next
video?
year. I did. That made me so sad.
I was
that almost
like-
made me cry.
I was genuinely kind of
I was
a wreck
distraught.
after that. It's so depressing.
That was like my first 10 minutes of Up.
Oh god.
Like that's what gets me is I'm
Yeah.
gonna watch Jacob
Sad
deGrom
athletes
cry
not being
because
able
of
to
Tommy
do what
John.
they should.
I
Yeah.
hate how prominent his contract has been in how people are discussing this injury.
But it's a part of it.
It is,
It's
but
a
it's
discussion
not,
point.
But it's also not any of their money. And
Yeah, but what are you not going to talk about? People
I would
were
prefer
saying
to not
before,
talk about any contracts. I would prefer to say they can worry about that.
I think that's
It's not
kind
my-
of
I don't care.
that's a little bit too ideal when you have this kind of money being thrown around for somebody like that, where something like this is going to happen at some point over those 5 years, just because of his track record, which is unfortunate because he is hot take. Jacob deGrom getting hurt is unfortunate for baseball.
Yeah.
But it's like a Koufax type deal where he's like as dominant as anyone has ever seen, but you don't know if it's going to be able to last that long. Where I think Sandy Koufax only pitched for 11 years or something like that, maybe less actually.
I think it might have been 9.
It might be 9. I think you might be right, but it's if deGrom comes back, I'll be rooting for him. It's just you can't. My brother pointed this out on Twitter the other day. He started throwing 94-mile-an-hour sliders,
Exactly.
and then his injuries started piling up. Which, dude,
Yeah, he's
Inhuman.
never done that and stayed healthy at the same time.
Yeah.
If
Nobody
he even
can.
had
Nobody
one
can.
full season of 101 fastballs, 94 sliders,
Yeah.
and full health, I would say maybe that the path that these teams have had him on for the past 3 years or so would make more sense.
Right.
But he doesn't have that. It's
No,
just he
it
goes
can't be
in,
done.
he's the best pitcher in the game for
Yep.
a week, and then he's done for the year.
Yep.
Because the human arm can't throw 94-mile-an-hour sliders
Yeah.
for 6 months.
And the thing is, maybe
And that's unfortunate.
had it
but
never happened to him, he could have gotten away with it for a couple years. But I mean, is he really going to come back from Tommy John and try to throw 102?
I
for
hope not.
80 or 90 pitches a game or whatever he throws. It's
I really hope that they change his pitching arsenal a little bit,
Yeah,
and that
dude.
they put that slider especially back to a more reasonable velocity.
learn how to break it more. Don't put the velocity behind. Do you remember when CC kind of was he had a huge alcohol problem. He went to rehab. He learned that he could not throw as hard as he used to, and then he came back as a finesse guy. That was the line from the Yes Network, and it worked for him. He got 2 or 3 more years of actual being serviceable as a starting pitcher, and not only that, being very good. Wow,
Oh, the dog got the ball.
that's so cute. They just showed a video on the Reds
On
game.
the Reds
of
game, a dog got the ball.
a dog getting a
That's
ball.
so cute.
But, yeah.
He got it. Oh,
But anyway, yeah, CC is the model, I think, for aging pitchers who are normally, power guys who then have to learn how to be more economical with their arm. So,
yeah. I remember certainly that era where CC lost all that weight, and then he just stopped being good.
Yeah.
And then he had to gain the
Yeah.
weight back, and
Yeah.
then he figured out how to, change. The
momentum.
like you said, he
Yeah,
was
he had
able
to
to change
generate
his
momentum.
arsenal, and
Yeah.
DeGrom's arsenal is going to work no matter what. Maybe he's not going to have a 1.5 ERA all
Right.
season with a 96-mile-an-hour fastball and an 89-mile-an-hour slider.
I'd
but
assume he would be, I don't know.
I would assume he would still be a very dominant pitcher. He would be a like top 5 or 10 guy in the game, I still think, and he might actually pitch an entire season or even longer.
Right. But at this point, he's 2 Tommy Johns in with, I mean, however many games missed over the last however many years. I would be curious on.
I mean,
that. You know what? I'm going to pull up his Baseball Reference.
Yeah, sure. I know that some arm doctors or pitching specialists subscribe to the idea of a Tommy John honeymoon. People coming back from Tommy John have 3 years in them before they are at risk of having to do it again.
Right. Okay. It's kind of like COVID.
Yeah, sure.
Super immunity.
Yeah, and I'm not sure like how that would totally play out for a guy like him who's going to be 36 and like we said is probably going to have to change his arsenal because, you know, if it isn't Tommy John, it's going to be something else with him if he comes back and he tries to do this again.
He is turning 35 in about 2 weeks.
So he's not going to pitch again until he's almost 36
or
almost 37. He's not going to pitch next year either.
Yeah, you're right.
It's brutal.
Yeah.
It's so horrible.
That's really.
I don't like the fact that like we saw his emotion in that press conference. Like we know how he feels.
Actually, no, I'm
this.
glad
like,
that we saw that.
No, I am too. Like I know how. And like
it makes it very
it shouldn't even have needed to be said that like Jacob deGrom wants to be on the field. Like obviously he wants to be out there every 5 days. He wants to be the best pitcher in baseball. He wants to help his team, which is currently possibly the best team in all of baseball.
Yeah. At least top 2 or 3. I mean,
they're
second best team in the AL at minimum.
So. Elite of the elite right now.
Yeah.
And for a guy to now be out for the next year and a half at least, and to have. And I again, like, I don't know how much of this he's like personally seeing, but like, I still don't like that it's out in the environment to like have these people, you know, pointing out the fact that these billionaire owners paid them a high salary and then they got hurt. Like, first of all, what are you really pointing out? Like, everybody knows that.
I think if you kind of shift that discussion towards criticism of the owners and not of deGrom himself, of course, because he can't say no to that money. Like, that money comes across his desk, he has to say yes. Like, that is an absurd contract.
There's no scenario where I would fault a player for taking money.
At any point. Of course not. That's like they have to take it. If it's offered like that, you have to take it. I understand talking about the contract. I think I don't really have an issue with bringing it up in something like this just because it's a factor. In what it means for his injury and for the Rangers and whatever. But where it kind of gets a little murky is when they start bringing up whether or not the contract is insured or not, where it's like, oh, now they're on the hook for all the... And then it's, you know, it's like, okay, well, now you're just being shitty to a man who might have just had his complete career trajectory altered once again.
Yeah.
So,
on
you know...
behalf
who
of
cares
some
who's paying
like
for it? That's the thing that bothers me.
Corpse in a suit,
right?
Like that's the alternative of who has the money. Like if Jacob deGrom turns down that money, it's not going to a children's foundation.
Exactly.
It's going to sit in somebody's trust fund.
Yeah, it's probably going to go to I don't know Carlos Rodon. Otherwise, like
maybe. I mean, yeah, depending on the team. But I hate talking about that in the wake of an injury because I feel like. Logistically, what's the argument? Like, this guy plays for my team and they paid him so much money that he got hurt and now they're not going to go out and pay other guys.
Right.
To me, the problem with that is with the owners who aren't going to pay the other guys.
Well, some of it could be a luxury tax thing, which, again, you can go through it as the Mets do. Like, but, like, that's a legitimate thing to be like...
Situational, whatever. But
we talk about it with the Yankees. I mean,
conceptually, I think this is pretty sound.
Yeah. Like, I just think that we do it for... guys who are just bad, you know, like we did it with Aaron Hicks and Josh Donaldson combined are making $35 million this year for the Yankees. So now where's that $35 million could be going to, you know, player X, Y, and Z who would be, you know, this much better and for less money or whatever.
$35 million could be going to those players regardless.
Sure, but that's the thing is that baseball owners do not have a salary cap, so you know that it's not like. It is a want for them.
They kind of do. I mean, they've basically installed one for themselves. Yes. Like you can't really have it both ways.
But I'm saying because they have the option to go through it and choose to not, you know that as a fan. So that is a disappointing thing. Whereas like in football, it's like, well, they're up against a cat. What are they going to do? Whereas in baseball, it's like they could have if they chose to not invest it in a player who is known for getting injured. And now they're going to not want to do it's again, it goes back to not despising the owners who then will not try to mitigate their own, failures or mistakes and try to reinvest. They're just going to sit on it.
What I hate is when that results in fans' anger being misdirected towards the player.
Right. Okay. I'm with you.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Would you like me
next?
to read off his starts by year, by the way? Because it is kind of interesting.
Sure. After that, we'll move on from DeGrom. But let's,
So DeGrom, 2014 is 26-year-old season, rookie year, 22 starts. Then 30, 24, 31, 32, 32. Then 2020, 12, 21, 15, 22, 11, and this year 6. So it's really 4 straight years of not being...
Well, one of those was the pandemic year, so I think maybe...
Oh, actually, that's a good point.
I think it's 3 years.
That 2020 12 starts is probably... That's a full season. That's 12 times 5 is 60, so there you go.
It's when they started putting him on the, Bionic Man regimen thing that they've had him on for a little while now.
Yeah.
But what's next? Alek Manoah option to the Florida Complex League.
FCL.
As far down
We're
as
going
you
from
can
UCLs
possibly
to
get
FCLs.
option. Ooh, that's okay. All right.
Sure.
I'll give you credit for
That
that
works,
one.
right?
That was a good one.
Yeah.
They didn't send him down to AA. They didn't send him to AAA. They didn't send him to high A, low A.
Any
They
other
sent him to the
A's?
Florida Complex League.
They sent him to a division with no A's.
Yeah.
Man.
That's crazy.
Although if the A's were on any other team, they'd probably be in the FCL.
Yeah, the A's play like an FCL team.
They really do. But Manoah, so the reason that I think he went to the FCL, this is what all the fans are saying, is that they have the full complement of, services and tools and whatever, all of the little gadgets and gizmos that come with a, very high budget Major League Baseball team.
My friend works down there. Maybe he'll meet
That
Manoah.
being said, it's hilarious.
It's so fun. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to
Yeah, it's unfortunate
kick
for the guy.
while he's down.
We hope
I
he
feel
gets better
bad for
soon.
everybody who does find Manoah to be
A bit much.
a little bit much. There is an element. I think I am within my rights to say of poetic justice.
Sure.
When it comes to a comic
Blue Jays
decline
collapsing.
like this. Obviously, I do want Manoah back competitive soon.
Yes. I will say this. I would rather have the Red Sox be good than the Blue Jays.
I wouldn't. I disagree with that.
I would, because at least it's fun when the Red Sox are good, because we get some fun series out of it. When the Blue Jays are good, everyone's pissed.
That's kind of true, but I don't know. Everybody being pissed is... I think there's an appeal to that.
Dude, everyone
the Blue
hates the
Jays,
Blue Jays.
they're good villains. Manoah's a good villain. That's
Jose Bautista
That's why
was
so
a good
many
villain.
people are smiling to see him getting tagged like this.
Right.
The Blue Jays are good at being villains.
Edwin
I think.
Encarnacion was a good villain. Josh Donaldson was a good villain.
Donaldson for sure. Yeah.
I mean, all that whole 2015 team. George Springer is a good villain.
Yeah.
Vladdy wants to be a good villain.
So yeah, he's not very good at it,
No.
but he wants to be.
Yeah. Bo Bichette does not want to be, but he kind of is.
He's just a guy.
Yeah.
I mean, but Manoah definitely prides himself on that bulldog mentality. That what was his quote? Pressure, something you put in your tires.
Right.
This is kind of silly.
It's also not true. Pressure is something that is
Macho.
created by air, which you put in your tires. Just fucking
Yeah.
weirdo.
So he's wrong and bad.
Yeah. When he is on, it's fun to watch a big man do what he's doing. So I always kind of appreciate the dudes who don't look like athletes and go out there and shove or bang on the offensive side.
Mm-hmm.
So for that reason, I hope that he figures it out and it's not just an overweight thing. But
It's crazy
part of it
that
could be.
he
It's
still put up
unfortunate.
a quality start against the Yankees this year.
I'm not surprised. Are you?
No, but it's the only start all
Yeah.
year where he didn't get completely destroyed.
Well, it's a little extra
just
juice
shocker.
flowing. Yeah.
He just carves them up. I don't
They
get it.
hate the Yankees so much. It's so funny.
They really do.
That's why. That's the only
it's
reason.
very funny.
About 2 years ago, I think, when I wasn't actually I wasn't following the Blue Jays very closely, other than that they were, having like an okay year. I thought they were great because I went to a bunch of Blue Jays games, thought they were playing great, and they beat the shit out of us. Then it turned out that they were like having like a bad season outside of the games against the Yankees.
Oh,
like
yeah.
that's kind of what they do. So it's like, they like to beat the Yankees.
They've never totally played up to their talent yet.
No.
But they're
No,
still
they have
quite
not.
young, so they could do it.
They're very young. I mean, how old is Bo Bichette?
25.
That's insane.
Yeah. Speaking of young talent, Ellie De La Cruz, we just talked about, debuted for the Reds. The Reds have called up quite a bit of young talent lately.
Family.
Matt McClain has a big hit tonight. Brandon Williamson got the start. Didn't look too good, but that's another young guy. Andrew Abbott made his debut last week through 6 shutout innings. So and they've got Noel V. Marte and Christian Encarnacion Strand still on the cusp of the major leagues.
They are
it's
a
an
very
exciting time in
interesting team.
Cincinnati.
Spencer Steer looks good too. Don't forget him.
They could honestly contend for the division this year.
I think that's very much within the realm of possibility. I mean, how many games back are they even right now?
I think maybe like 3 or 4.
Yeah, that checks. Let me see. Where's the?
I think the Pirates lead the division right now.
Which is hilarious that it's going to be the Reds and the Pirates competing. But that's what happens when
you're bad
for
are
so
still in
long.
second, but I do think that the Reds
Reds are in third. They're 5 games out of first. The Pirates are currently 1 game out of first. This could be as of this morning and not affected by tonight's games.
Sure.
But right now I've got the Reds at 5 games back, the Cubs at 6.5, and the Cardinals at 8.5. Dude, what is happening in St. Louis?
It's just upside down world.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I really don't.
And I guess they don't have pitching. It's amazing.
It's just Ellie De La Cruz, though. Oh my God,
he's up right now.
Yeah, there aren't even words for what he's been able to do and what his potential is and what his peak stats could look like.
This is reminding me of.
He did just look at a pitch right down the middle, but we're going to forgive him for that.
We will, based on everything else he's done tonight already. But anyway, his arrival is reminding me of Harper. Like not even Trout. I don't remember Mike Trout coming up as much. Judge did not have this much fanfare. I'm trying to think of. Steven Strasburg as a pitcher
who have arrived,
but arrived and then were loud when they got here. Immediately. This is 2 games, to be fair, but already just that homer, he just made a name for himself immediately.
Yeah, and he did last night with the 112-mile-an-hour double. Then he did tonight with the huge home run, the triple.
Tatis had a big introduction.
Tatis I think was the main guy that I was going to really compare him to, like as a player, just because he kind of has that combination of power, bat skills, speed, athleticism,
and likability and swagger.
Likability is debatable in Tatis's case.
Well, he used to be. He was.
But there are
until the 2021 offseason.
You can count the number of guys with the upside of Ellie De La Cruz and Fernando Tatis on one hand, and I think a switch hitting Tatis is a decent example for Ellie. The one thing that some people have been a bit concerned about is the strikeouts, as we just saw a second ago. But I'm not in any place to throw cold water on this at all. This seems to me just like the next decade or so, we've got a top 10 player in baseball on our hands with this guy.
I love the tall guys being like a thing now, because you got De La Cruz, O'Neal Cruz, which
James
is fun.
Wood coming up soon.
James Wood is huge.
Yep.
Judge obviously is massive.
Of course.
Who else is big?
I was actually
boys.
I was talking about this with another guy on Blue Sky.
Is Pete Crow Armstrong huge? I feel like he's big.
No, he's not that big. I don't think.
Is he not?
the only people who were like talking about anything to do with these guys were just me and this other guy who's like a Fangraphs editor on Blue Sky. So we were just like talking about these like huge players very briefly, like back and forth with
guys,
O'Neal, Ellie, and James Wood. So I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, it's fun.
We need to get more people on that app to talk baseball.
Yeah, get me on there, man. I'll chip in.
I've got a guy who got dibs on the first code, but as soon as they give me multiple,
Fair enough.
got you.
And Mudville listeners, if you... No, I'm kidding. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe we could do a giveaway for a Blue Sky.
Maybe.
Might
What
be
else
fun,
happened
but
in baseball?
Aaron Judge to the IL.
Yeah,
That's a pretty big one.
That's a sad one.
Yeah, he's got his okay. So it's his big toe, and in the official release from the Yankees, they wrote that it was his grand toe, which I thought was kind of interesting. They said it's a ligament issue in his grand toe, which is
It's like, okay.
he's probably got
I know
a pretty
he's a
grand
huge
toe.
guy.
Yeah,
Relax.
like, it's still a big toe, guys.
Oh, brother.
You don't have to be technical about his large toe.
You don't
but-
need to be pretentious about feet. Quentin
Yeah.
Tarantino's here for. I'm
There
sorry.
you go. No, there you go.
Low hanging fruit.
That's
Move
it.
on.
Was there. It was there.
It wasn't good.
yeah.
I should clarify.
Yeah. Anyway,
Um,
but yeah, Judge the IL. So what that means for the American League East is that the Yankees have already been kind of battling with everybody, and the AL East is the most contentious division in baseball. So
It
they
is
could
a
really find
war
themselves in a
zone.
hole.
Oh, by the way, we should state that this is the 5th episode in a row that the entire AL East has been ahead of the entire AL Central.
5 weeks straight. Oh boy,
I can't believe that's still the case. I mean, I can, but I also
Yeah.
like it. It just shouldn't be a thing.
I think the Red Sox are kind of almost
well, they're
not.
tied right. They
but-
were tied this morning.
Yes,
the Red
Twins
Sox
and Red
Twins
Sox
were
are
tied.
31 and 30, fifth place and first place.
And I think it's just guaranteed that the Rays, Orioles, Blue Jays, and Yankees will have a better record than all 5 of those teams all
One
year.
of them won't make the playoffs, so
That's not necessarily true.
I'd assume that at least the Rangers and the Astros are going to be both
Yeah,
in the playoffs.
I
so,
think that's true as well.
yeah.
I think you're right, but it's not a
Yeah.
necessity, I guess is what I was saying.
Fair enough. It is interesting that one of those teams from the AL Central is going to get a
Like a top
guaranteed
seed.
playoff spot,
Yeah.
top seed, and they will almost definitely find themselves in a wild card series. But that being said, if it's like a 86 win Guardians team or something, it's just, I don't know, it's interesting.
That's
We'll see.
true. I think really what the question that we're asking in regards to like comparing these two divisions is, will the Red Sox have a better record than the Twins all year?
Right.
And I'm pretty confident the answer to that will be no.
I don't think so. I think just because of the amount of times the Red Sox have to see AL East teams, the answer is no.
Sure.
I think the Twins get to beat up on a lot of rough teams in
Yeah.
the Central. Although,
And
the
that
Tigers
has
are
been
looking
switched
better
this year with the new schedules, but still, there's still
Yeah.
quite a few games.
The
against
White
those
Sox
teams.
could win on every given night. They just don't most of the time.
Yeah.
The Tigers are looking actually like a real baseball team, which is surprising. The Guardians also should be able to win more games than they are. And then the Royals are there with less than 20 wins.
Seems
3 months
like-
into the year.
It still
So-
seems like so many teams that you expected to be in like second or in fourth, and so
Yes.
many teams that you expected to be in fourth or in second.
Yep, that is especially in the
It's
NL.
fun.
The
Yeah.
NL is very strange.
It's very interesting right now.
Yep.
I'm liking it.
The Mariners specifically, that's a prime example for a second place team who is currently in fourth
Padres.
place.
Joey Weimer has been heating up. He had a walk-off hit this week. He was one of the hottest hitters in baseball over the past 7 days. I believe he hit 3 home runs in that span. Huge win for the Milwaukee Brewers,
Yeah.
who have battled lineup issues for the past few years and have never had anything much better than a standard outfield. So
Yep.
if we were able to get a guy like that who can be dominant on both sides of the ball,
Yep,
that'd
he
be
is
very nice.
currently 94th percentile in outs above average, as well as a very high percentile in exit velo at 79, if my eyes do not deceive me.
Love it.
Yeah, he's also in the 92nd percentile in sprint speed, so he's just an all-around athlete. He does strike out a lot still at this point, and his average is not really showing much. But those few things aside, this is
A few quibbles, but that's all
a
right.
little bit. But he's a type of player that the Brewers absolutely have needed for a bit, which is a guy with any kind of excitement, pop, and the ability to shake up what has otherwise been a very stale lineup for about 3 years. So
I'd say maybe even longer.
I think you're right, spot on with that.
We also should not sleep on Ezekiel Tovar out in Colorado, who had an abysmal start to the season in his rookie year. He probably wasn't totally ready. He was hurt for most of last year, only played a couple games at the start of the end of the year, and then was ice cold to start the year in the majors for the first time.
Right.
But the past few weeks, he has heated up quite a bit, taken his WRC plus from like in 80 or something. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me.
Right.
He had like an 80 WRC plus in April, and I think like a 130 or so in May.
That's
so this
crazy.
is a guy who's still like 21, 22 years old. I think maybe quite a few people might have seen that first month and seen him in the Rockies.
I do
system.
have those numbers, by the way. If
Oh,
you're
yeah.
curious, he went from 580 to 767 between April and May.
Oh, great. The Astros are on a tear. Alex Bregman has been heating
For a rookie.
up.
Not bad for a rookie.
Jordan hitting tanks.
He is doing Jordan Alvarez things.
Kyle Tucker hasn't really found that stretch yet, but when he does, I mean, watch out. It's
Yeah.
really becoming a fun race in the AL West between Texas and Houston.
The Astros are all the way back at this point. I think
Yes,
they
certainly.
have fully started to get going. They're terrifying. They're the Houston Astros. They're going to do what you expect them to do, and they are starting to do that. And they have a bit of a hole to dig themselves out of. But I think it's not a stretch to say that everybody fully expects them to do that. So it's unfortunate, but that's the truth of the matter. The Astros do Astros things, and it'll be interesting. I don't know. Do you think that they end up winning the West?
I think they probably do, but based on everything we've seen from Texas, like I don't think that they're gonna really fall off. Like that is a deep lineup.
Yeah.
All of those guys are producing. They've seen some star turns from guys who they weren't totally expecting them from. Like Jonah Heim is putting up an incredible season. Josh Young is tearing the cover off the ball, and they weren't totally sure what they were going to get out of those guys, like especially with Young's shoulder injury from last year.
Right.
But everything looks great in Texas. I don't have any reason to count them out right now, even without Jacob deGrom. And also, Houston has earned nothing but the most respect aside from, the obvious thing.
Yeah, I think they're 19-6 over their last 20. What did I just say? 19-6, 25,
25, yeah.
something like that. So
I think it's just going to be
Yeah.
a fun battle, and one of those
I
teams
mean-
is going to get an AL wild card, like we said, and maybe one of those AL East teams misses the playoffs.
I would assume at this point it would probably be the Blue Jays
Or the Orioles, maybe. I mean,
if
if they
the
get some
Orioles-
injuries, I don't know.
Well, the thing is with the Orioles,
They've
is
been
that
red hot, though. Like, I have no reason to think they're going to fall off.
The only reason I was about to say they are so young
Yeah.
that they are not used to the grind of a 162 game season, whereas some more, no pun intended, but more seasoned teams,
Yeah,
have
veterans.
the experience of going through a full season and trying to stay afloat. Whereas the Orioles come out swinging, they're hot, they're feeling good, and maybe they kind of, like a little puppy, use up all their energy a little too quickly and then kind of fall flat at the end. But that could also very well not happen, and they might just be a young, hungry team who ends up, kind of making a little bit of noise in the playoffs and has a nice little feel-good story for them. So,
Yeah.
which I'd be rooting for by the end of the year if the Yankees end up shitting the bed. So that's
Which is, certainly within the realm of possibility.
absolutely, especially with Judge out for possibly until the end
Yeah.
of June or July. We don't even know at this point. It's impossible to say.
Scary month coming up for the Yankees.
Very much so, yeah.
Corbin Carroll, superstar.
He's a god.
Absolute
He's
superstar.
a god.
10 home
Yep.
runs already this year, 17 steals, 25 RBI. Maybe a little bit lucky with the 385 WOBA compared to the 348 X WOBA, but who gives a shit?
Would you like to guess which of his StatCast bubbles are not bright red?
Maybe like average exit velo?
Nope. His average exit velo is
chase
the
rate.
65th percentile. Chase rate is in the 62nd. They are light
wow.
red. They're not bright
Okay.
red, but they are red.
Any?
Arm strength.
Oh, okay.
The only one below 50 other than hard hit percentage, which is 49,
man.
but that doesn't matter because he's an incredible hitter.
He's a dude.
He's amazing.
I love seeing this in Arizona franchise that has not had anything going for quite some time. They are exceeding expectations.
I'm big on the Snakes. They're fun.
I love it. I've seen
Yeah.
them in like top 5 in a couple power rankings this week.
Sure. Makes
Zach
sense.
Gallen, Cy Young candidate.
Absolutely.
Merrill Kelly's looking great.
Yep. They are winning a very, very top-heavy NL West.
Corbin Carroll, by the way, 3 for 4 tonight.
Did anybody have them winning the NL? I still don't think they will win the NL West. Similar to the Orioles, I think they are extremely young. But unlike the Orioles, they are an injury away.
Having this conversation.
Yes. Yeah.
It's just wild.
The D-backs, though, I truly think might be an injury away from not being able to do any of this, which is rough. But I think more so than some of the other deeper teams who are young. But it is interesting that all of these kind of rebuilding teams that had been, tanking for so long are arriving at the exact same time.
It's
Pirates,
awesome.
Orioles, Diamondbacks. You could even throw the Tigers in there if you want to.
Certainly could.
It's interesting. The Reds, too.
Yeah.
The Reds have kind of, they have enough young talent at this point that it's getting amazing. Even Joe Burrow showed up today and hit some bombs, so maybe they bring him over for a bit.
Maybe they do.
They have a lot of young talent. It's but all these teams. That's anything you'd like to say about that, because it's interesting that they all kind of.
Do you have any thoughts on the Marlins?
The Marlins, I think, could fall into that boat if they Thing is, they're 2.5 games back in the division as of right now.
Yeah.
So, and this is it's a division with the Phillies, the Mets, and the Braves, and they are in second and behind the Braves. Well, they. But the Marlins are. I think they're overachieving more than that they've arrived. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
more
definitely.
than the Orioles have arrived, the Diamondbacks have arrived, the Reds are on the way.
Completely agree with you. I just feel obligated to mention that they have a guy hitting 400 in June.
They do.
Luis Arias.
Yes,
and that is
amazing,
ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't know how anybody sniffs 400 in today's game.
I know.
That is, nobody should sniff 370 in today's game.
I think it kind of goes back to a conversation that we had, what was it, last week? Where, I think it is possible to hit that well. It's just that they sell for power so much.
And he doesn't. I mean, he only has 1 home run on the year. He really doesn't chase that at all.
Third percentage in barrel, third percentile in barrel percentage.
Yeah.
He's just, he doesn't strike out, and he puts it where they ain't. That's it.
I wonder if they'll trade a starter.
He also doesn't swing and miss. Yeah, they need a little bit more offense.
I'd like to see them do it because, I feel like Sandy Alcantara, obviously, long-term rotation.
Yes, but he's having a rough season.
He is, but Yuri Perez, long-term rotation.
Yes.
I think they still expect Max Meyer to come back and be part of the rotation.
Sure.
Trevor Rogers, maybe. Braxton Garrett, maybe. Edward Cabrera, maybe. They have so many of these. And Jesus Luzardo is, of course, also in the rotation. So,
right.
Those, there are 1 or 2 guys on there that if you made them available for trade, you're going to get a great return.
So they have some relievers, I think, that they might actually end up trading at the deadline.
Because
that is a department that every team wants to bolster at the deadline. You always could go for a top-end reliever, and they have right now. Tanner Scott's having a great year. Andrew Nardi, very young guy, he's having a very good year. And you have, give me a second on this last name. It's a Brazaban?
Oh, yeah, Brazaban.
I've never said that. I've only read it. So
same.
So he's also, having a good year. So they are kind of flush with relief pitching at this point. So I don't know. I think that if they're going to do that, I think that's where they go. I don't think they sell a starter. I don't think they're really in position to do that, but they definitely could ship out a reliever and get an okay bat at very least. So
the way I see it, they're not going to win in 2023. It's a lot of fun that they've been good and that they're above 500 right now, but I see it as being very similar to what the Orioles did last year when they traded Jorge Lopez. They got a lot of shit for that at the time, but they got Yennier Cano back in that trade. They did certainly won that deal, and I think for a team that that is looking better, but the writing is on the wall. They're not going to win the World Series. I don't think that would be a move that could necessarily harm their long-term approach. They could win in 2025 maybe.
Sure,
I don't think trading Braxton Garrett would stop them from.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Who did the Orioles get back for? Who did they send to Houston?
Trey Mancini.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah,
what did they get for that trade?
I don't totally remember, so let me look it up.
Yeah.
The Orioles received minor league right-handers Seth Johnson and Chase McDermott. So who gives a fuck?
Interesting.
So, unless
Happened yet.
Seth Johnson turns a corner that we don't know about.
Is he even like on the path towards a corner that he could then turn?
I heard
Do
his
we-
name in spring training.
Sure,
I haven't
okay.
heard it much since, so I don't really know.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I think the last baseball tidbit I wanted to touch on today before we get to our movie. We went pretty long on baseball here.
There's a lot going on, honestly.
Yeah,
This
no,
has
it's
been a
great.
big week. Yeah.
It was a big week.
Yeah. Speaking of Trey
Apocalypse
Mancini,
and
by the
baseball.
way. Yeah, the
Yeah,
apocalypse of
crazy.
baseball. He's on the Cubs right now. The Cubs are having a nice little season for him.
Yeah, but they're like 27 and 33 or something.
They are, they're under 500. But again, same thing with that division.
Boring.
They're in fourth place. Anything could happen. But anyway,
Yeah,
go on.
the last thing I wanted to say, the other day, Aaron Nola set a first in big league history. I believe he had a singular stat line of 7 innings pitched, 1 hit, 3 runs, and 10 strikeouts. Because he threw 6 shutout innings,
Sure.
and he hadn't given up a hit. They made an error, and then he walked a guy, and then somebody hit a home run, and that was the only hit he gave up all game. And they
Okay.
were unearned runs.
Right.
So 3 runs, none of them earned, only 1 hit, 7 innings, and 10 strikeouts.
Okay.
That's pretty cool.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Are you aware that he is currently leading the league in innings pitched?
I did not know that. That kind of surprises me. He has been quite unlucky this year.
Yeah, he's 4.3 ERA, got about 77 strikeouts and 81 and 2/3. So not the season that you'd want out of your ace if you were the Phillies. But then again, nothing is going right for the Phillies. So add it to the list.
So, Elliot tells me you're a writer.
Your last one, it should have done better.
There's lots of new voices. Refugees, cancer, murder, abuse.
I'm an old voice.
You're the best voice.
Maybe if Dad hadn't just been verbally abusive, it would have been a bestseller.
Don't say that.
Your memoir is great. Your new book is great.
Can you say anything?
No, I can't. It feels too late.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I think I'm gonna throw up.
Right, God, right here?
No, I don't think I can. I can't.
If I did, say that. You took it out of context.
Are you gonna gaslight me now?
He's been lying to me this whole time.
I wasn't lying.
All right. Mudheads. Is that
Mudheads.
Mudheads?
Mudheads.
Should that-
Are we doing that?
I don't know. I mean, there aren't like enough of them yet where we need that, but maybe that'd be a good thing to have like out of the way.
Sure.
Mudballs?
Mudballs.
Welcome back, Mudballs.
Yeah, we're here.
We're talking about You Hurt My Feelings, the new film from Nicole Center, starring Julie Louis-Dreyfus, Tobias
Absolutely.
Menzies, Ariane Moayed from Succession. Not pronouncing that correctly. Michaela Watkins, Owen Teague, Jeannie Berlin, the great Jeannie Berlin, I should say, the daughter of the also great Elaine May. Mm-hmm. This is Nicole Center's first first directorial effort in 5 years since she released The Land of Steady Habits, a movie that I did not see. And it's only her
Not
second
seen that
since
either.
2013 when she had Enough Said, which also had Julia Louis-Dreyfus and also featured what I believe was the final screen performance from James Gandolfini. And I like that movie quite
That's
a bit.
fun.
I think it's a very nice movie. It's and that's kind of what Nicole Center specializes in. Like she'll make the kind of movie that you watch and you go with like a couple of your friends and maybe you're like wine drunk and you watch it and you watch
Sure.
these people and they're usually like New York like aspiring artists and they just go walk in the park with their friends and like
She's
by
the
the end
female
of it,
Woody Allen.
yeah, honestly, kind of.
Little
I
bit.
was gonna say like she's
But a
definitely
better person.
She's maybe the truest New York City filmmaker working right now. She was born in the city. She went to Tisch. She worked for Woody Allen. She was his like assistant editor, I believe, on Hannah
makes
and
sense.
Her Sisters.
Yeah.
She learned from Martin Scorsese.
Also makes sense.
Yeah, she's the business. Been in the industry for decades. Released her first movie in 1996. Her biggest movie prior to Enough Said was Friends with Money, which I think I watched on the Criterion Channel a while ago.
Sure.
But it, according to my Letterboxd, I have not seen it, and I also don't remember this movie. So
Right.
I feel comfortable just saying I haven't seen it.
Right,
But
okay.
also I know that I've seen at least part of it. But hey, I don't know. From Enough Said, and now from this new one, You Hurt My Feelings, I'm becoming quite a big fan of Nicole Holofcener.
So I did not know that much about her filmography going into this, and as I was watching it, it didn't really strike me until the end. But I was like, this is a Woody Allen movie, but kind of it has enough of a female voice that it stands out on its own, and it's that cuts through a bit, and it I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I don't know if we want to just get straight into
let's
reviews.
do it. Absolutely, let's get right into it.
Now,
Let's talk about what it's about first.
Sure.
This is largely a movie about relationships.
it's about people who are bad at their jobs.
Sure, yeah, that too. At the center of it, Beth and Don,
That was the working title, by the way.
Oh yeah, it was. That was the working title. And we'll get into it in a second how Brody knows that.
Yeah.
But she is a writer. She published a memoir a few years back, and now she's publishing a novel, or she has written a novel that she is asking for feedback on from her husband, who is a marriage counselor who deals with some of the worst people in the world. Truly some
David
very
Cross. And also David Cross's character. No, I'm kidding. David Cross is a lovely individual.
yes, very funny scenes there. Core of the story is about how you deal with, or how this character deals with her significant other not liking her work.
Yeah.
He has told her several white lies every time she's given him a draft to read. He said how much he's liked it, but one day in the mall, she overhears him talking with her brother-in-law about how he doesn't like this new book for whatever reason.
He's like,
And she's
he
crushed.
just is very honest and a bit brutal about it. And just I just can't enjoy it.
Certainly much more honest with him than he ever has been with her,
Exactly.
at least up to this point. And
That is
so
the crux of the film.
this leads her to question everything. Has he liked any of my work? Does he think I'm talented? Does he love me?
Right, right.
All of these are sort of natural extensions of the question at hand, or at least they're treated that way in the script.
Yeah.
She spends most of her time with
Oh.
her sister Sarah,
was gonna say
and
also.
Don and Sarah's husband Mark go on several walks through the park, which are usually, when we see them, are just kind of these shots, these medium shots of the two guys walking, and I love it.
It's fun.
It's
It's
all
just-
it needs
yeah.
to be.
Yeah.
It's
This is it's overall very low stakes, which I just really enjoyed, because you just really get wrapped up in these people's lives, and they feel so genuine, and the performances didn't wow me at first. In the first, I think I told you right before, the first 30 or so minutes, they kind of all are feeling a little bit flat, and then I
Sure.
think they all kind of buy in. The actors bought in somewhere around halfway through,
Yeah.
and just realized wait, this is a fun little movie. We should, and then they all kind of stepped on the gas a bit.
it falls into
it's
place without you really realizing it.
Yes.
I think.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Also, their son Elliot works
Yes.
in a weed store, and
Played
he
by
is
Owen
a
Teague.
playwright.
Yes.
Played by Owen Teague. I loved a lot of his scenes.
He was great. I thought he was the best part of this movie,
Yeah,
and maybe
I had a lot of
because
fun
I
with
just
it.
thought he was me.
Me too.
Yeah.
I didn't want to say it. I wasn't going to be.
I'm gonna say it because
Yeah.
I was like, "That's me."
Yeah, I was like, oof.
It's. I was saying after we got out of the theater, this movie I thought I enjoyed thoroughly, and not to get extremely it's my life, but my mother is an
And it's
author.
now
It's-
yeah, keep going.
but my mother is an author.
Oh yeah, jeez.
Yeah, and my dad is not a therapist, but my mother is an author, and I, like to perceive myself as somewhat creative of an individual. It's just this topic of having a 20-something-year-old son who's home from college and doesn't really know what he's doing with his life, and dealing with your parents as somebody who's out of school and kind of needs a different kind of guidance. I loved it. I thought it was very different. It's just not a thing that you see on screen. And I immediately was like, this is oh my goodness, like, it's like a little too close to home for me.
Yeah, oh no, absolutely. I
but
wrote the
I
same
enjoyed
thing.
it.
I wrote it. It certainly hit home for me. Like especially like
Yeah.
certain details that like unfold towards the end with like what that character had been going through and hadn't verbalized up to that point in the story, and that
Right,
when
right.
he finally did that hit me really hard, and I appreciated that a lot.
Yeah, it's good. It's a fun little movie, and I think the writing of it, I especially thought it was very tightly written.
Definitely.
Performances aside, which did end up being good, I think, by the end. I think the script itself is really strong, and just it kind of, it's, first of all, this movie is 93 minutes long, which, thank you, Nicole.
Yeah.
It's just such a
Great
watchable
runtime.
movie. It's like, it is like, and that is a terrible thing to say, but just in terms of just being able to like sit down in the theater, shut your brain off, and just enjoy a quick little story. The world isn't ending. There's no infinity gems. It's just like, you can just relax, take in a nice little story about New York, and feel like you see yourself on screen, which is nice.
You don't need to have watched the Prelude series about Beth,
The Holoff Centerverse, the Holoff verse.
when she was writing her like first book.
Yes,
And-
yeah. It's which is nice for a change to just be able to be. You don't have to ask who's who. It's very every character is well developed, and and not to turn every single conversation we have about movies into a fuck you Marvel, but like fuck you Marvel for getting rid of these kinds of movies for so long.
Yes, I think that you are incredibly right, and I don't think you even have to apologize for that. Like, I think when you're talking about movies like this that largely don't exist anymore unless
They just
they're
don't get
made by
made.
career filmmakers like this,
Right.
I think that's very legitimate for that to turn into a diatribe against all of the blockbuster franchises that
Sure.
turned the ecosystem against that type of movie.
Yeah.
So I think that's a very legitimate criticism.
And actually, there was a trailer for a studio comedy right before the movie rolled.
Jennifer Lawrence. I'm
yes.
so excited for that movie.
It actually looks
really
fun.
funny.
Like I didn't think, like, I saw the initial like
Same, and
then
I was like, ah.
yeah. And then over the course of the trailer, I was like, you know what, studio comedy, let's go. Why
Now
not?
I'm sold. Like,
I'm with it.
I
Let's
feel
get
like
it.
it's going to be very important that movie makes money, so I'm
Yes.
going to see it 4 times.
That's fair enough. I hope it's good, and it actually
too.
looks like it might be. It's like it's if a Vince Vaughn movie was made today with a female lead, it's that. So it looks pretty fun. But anyway, so if
Hall of Center, I
yeah.
feel like she's one of these artists that has kind of like, she has mastered turning repetition into its own sort of art form. Like,
Sure,
in
yeah.
addition to being like, she's mastered sort of like the, like, I don't know, I
it's
always talk about how
thematic like turn or payoff.
yeah, like,
yeah.
I'm saying like Ben Affleck is so good at making the like 6 or 7 out of 10 like dude movies. I feel like she does this for women.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
she's Ben Affleck for women.
She's a lot of things for women. apparently.
Exactly.
Wait, she gets New York and Boston.
Wait,
she's Woody
also-
Allen and Ben Affleck. for
Also,
women.
Ben Affleck this year put out a movie about Michael Jordan, and
Air.
who is the
Yes.
female Michael Jordan? It's Elaine from Seinfeld.
That is a take.
I mean, could it be? Can that even be disputed?
I don't even know where to start with that. I don't know if I agree or not.
They were both dominant forces in the 90s.
with an interesting supporting cast that
Yeah.
people will debate over whether or not they were effective in their roles.
And also, she won the Emmy for Veep like 10 times in a row or
Right,
something.
right.
So I don't know. I feel like it works.
Sure, I think that's
I think,
certainly
I think
a take.
we're onto something. Maybe we should have talked about Air alongside it, but I don't really have much to say about Air. It's
I have
kind
not
of
seen Air. I'd like to.
It's all right. It's like fun, but it's a very low stakes movie. Like you have to be a big fan of the Nike brand to be into
Right,
it, which
right.
I am not. So
Yeah,
I was like, okay.
I think that's fair.
But yeah, I don't know what I mean by this, like, mastered the art of repetition is I feel like she's constantly making, like, a lot of her movies, they feel real because they're about these sort of like a little bit uppity like New York writers, artists, and they always have like several scenes with like these
Once again, Woody
beautiful
Allen.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And Woody Allen is another artist that I haven't seen too many of his movies, so I can't really speak
I
to
hate
that.
that
But
I like every
I
single
am,
one of his movies that I've seen.
I've got.
They're
I'm
just so
gonna
good.
watch more of him at some point.
They're really
like
good.
I feel
Midnight in
like
Paris is so good. But anyway,
Yeah,
I
it's
digress.
fine.
We don't need to do a Woody Allen.
He's
thing.
he's been like shit on enough. We don't
It's
have
true.
to. We don't have to clarify that he's a bad guy.
It's fair.
People know that.
I
We
know.
can. He makes okay movies.
That
too.
being said,
He
it's the
makes
first
good
time we have discussed him, so we should just
Yeah.
we're anti Woody, but we like his movies.
It's also something that I've seen people say recently about Hong Sang-soo is like who puts out like 3 or 4 movies a year in Korea, and they're always like based on because they're all based on like the conversations, and like they're all like 80-minute movies where with like these 5-minute scenes that are all like static shots of 3 or 4 people talking around a table,
Right.
and then like the end of the shot will pan in on like one of their faces sometimes.
Right.
It's some people like super love it. Like I'm certainly a fan of his, but like
So you're saying
I'm not.
they have very comfortable and end up being very familiar sets.
Yeah, absolutely.
Interesting. What do you think of this set in You Hurt My Feelings?
I thought it had the best shelf of any movie I've ever seen. Like truly, bravo to the shelf guy.
Well, the shelf guy says thank you.
You want to go into that?
I do. So the reason that I say that, I was the shelf guy on this movie. Among curtains, I was the curtain guy, the lamp guy, beds, pillows. There was
The greater furniture gentleman.
in general, and yes, that is who I was. In general, any furniture that was in the apartment where this movie takes place, I helped either set up, create, or place. Which this is the first time that I've ever had a movie come out that I worked on, and I had a very kind of surreal feeling just because like this is the first time I've ever been in a movie theater and been like I've actually been there.
Right.
Like it's like I was. There was a moment where they were in the son's bedroom, which I helped set up, and I was talking to the art director one day, and then she was asking, she was like, we have this kid, he's a stoner, he's home from college, he's like 23, he's annoyed with his parents because he's home all the time and he doesn't want to be. And I was like, I got you. Like, we came home from college and then had to live at home due to COVID. So I was like, that
Yes.
was me.
We
That was me.
graduated in 2020. Very
yes.
singular experience in our
Indeed.
lives.
Yeah. But yeah, so I was like, that is, I can help you. Then they ended up not using any of the shit that I helped there. And then that was a common thread, actually, while I was watching this movie. A lot of the things that I ended up working on were either not shown or shown for a split second, which there were some other things that got some play, like the lamps that I put in the bedroom. The
Great
bed,
lamps.
I helped set up the bed that was in there. I helped dress it, put it where it was. That room was painted a different color, then they painted it black.
When they turned on the lamp, I stood up and applauded.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad somebody did, because that that lamp,
we all did. It were several people in the theater, actually.
lamp guy
There were
crushed it.
Verbal applause.
Yeah. But yeah, I actually, so there's a scene in the living room where I put the curtains that are on in the background. I drilled them into these like beautiful old First of all, this apartment, by the way, stunning
Yeah.
old apartment on the Upper West Side in this pre-war building. It's gorgeous, and it's like it's lived in, like it's red. People live there.
It is the ideal New York City
Yeah.
lifestyle that will not exist for our generation.
Exactly. In a rent-controlled apartment on the Upper West Side with like 4 bedrooms.
Yeah.
And a lot of character. But this building, or this apartment rather, was beautiful. And we were in there, every day for a few weeks. I got to know it pretty well. And there was a moment where they brought in like these curtains, like they were like these shears that had to go on the windows, because they have these French door windows that opened up onto like tiny little, like French balconies that are not real, like they're just kind of there for show.
Sure.
And so they wanted curtains over it because they had to gaff the outside so that we couldn't see anything, because everything in there was nighttime and we shot during the day. So it was so they wanted curtains there. So they handed them to me and they're like, here, drill these into these. And I was like, drill them in? This, like, they're beautiful old wood, beautiful old windows. I was like, you want me to drill into these? Are we like good with that? Like, the people who live here are good with that? They're like, yeah, they said we could do whatever we wanted. I was like, okay, cool. All right.
Yeah.
So I was terrified. This is the first thing that I ever put onto a movie set. They had me drilling into these beautiful old French doors.
Wow.
And I was kind of terrified that I was either going to mess it up or be in trouble because I wasn't supposed to drill into these doors. But then they were in the movie, and I was like, hey, I put those there. That was kind of fun.
Congratulations to Brody.
It's I appreciate
Pretty
it. Thank
sick.
you. I used to eat lunch on the couch that they have the argument on,
Oh
which
my God.
is fun.
That's
That was,
awesome.
yeah, I played the piano at lunch also that they show for a split second. It was it's a very surreal feeling.
Oh,
Just
absolutely.
like sitting there looking around this room and being like, I spent so much time in there. But it was cool, and I not like it wasn't. First of all, I also did not get credited in this movie, which I am not that upset about. I had a feeling I was going to not get credited, and that is fine. It's kind of how the cookie crumbles in the industry. I am not someone who would get a credit in this movie as a set dresser. I don't think they actually credited any set dressers on in the credits, except for maybe the decorator and our lead man, Carl, who was fantastic and became a good friend of mine actually through this, and we've worked together since. But
Nice.
it's it's good. It's it was just all it was a very nice experience to go and see all of this stuff and feel like I was a part of something and actually have the fruits of my labor bear fruit. Did I say that right?
No, but I don't know what the correct saying
I
is,
think
so I'm
that's
going to go with it.
Something around there. But either way, it was fun. And I'm glad that everyone that I have either seen it with or have heard has seen it, has enjoyed it, except for one person, which is, I'm not too surprised on it. They're a tough critic, but it's, still. It's everybody has enjoyed it for
Damn.
the most part. But
Leaving
still.
him anonymous.
Yeah.
That's so mysterious.
Well, it's fine. I don't think he's going to listen. But it's Bryce's dad who did not love the movie. He just said it wasn't his type of movie.
Sure. Fair
But
enough.
Either way, I think that's fine and fair. Not everybody has to like everything. Also, I don't have any real association other than I put the curtains up. So
Yeah.
like it, don't like it, whatever. But I am glad that I got to go see it.
thought
And everybody else does too now.
I thought it was funny that they got real life couple David Cross and Amber Tamblyn to
Yeah.
play like the worst couple of all time.
They were great, by
They
the
were
way.
amazing at it. Like I was like, God, I hope they're not tapping into anything real.
I know. And if they are, good for them. That's probably a pretty good outlet.
Yeah, I
they can
bet.
use it. Yeah. But it was fun.
They were like, you know what? Just
they're great.
leave the camera here. We'll keep it and
Just roll.
if we get anything that we think you'll like, we'll let you know.
Yeah, I think
Thanks.
the line
Thanks,
that
Nicole.
got me is when she accuses David Cross of hating women because he's like saying how she like overreacts to stuff. And then he goes, no, I don't hate women. Of course I don't hate women. I just hate you. I thought that was really funny.
That is a good line.
It's good. It's a fun little movie. And we should talk about the initial point of the movie, which I also loved, which is how do you broach the topic of not liking somebody's work if they come to you and ask for, somebody who's close to you and you try to
Sure.
protect them, or do you be honest or what? I thought that was kind of fun and
Yeah,
a good
it's
little
like-
ethical quandary.
It interrogates a very real problem that I think a lot of people run into in their lives. Like I've certainly told a number of white lies over the years, like that I don't necessarily feel like I'm at fault for morally. And I think everybody's in the same boat. Like it's a thing that people do, and I like that the movie treats it like that, and while also treating the initial reactivity of her emotions as valid as well, because it certainly is.
Of course it is. And I think like asking the question, is it wrong to protect the feelings of those, the people that you love? I think it's
not wrong.
I don't think it's wrong, but it's also, you can see the other side, whereas like, does he think that I can't take it? Does it like,
Right.
is that like, does it mean that he doesn't truly love me or
You
think that
also
everything
owe
else
them
that I've done?
respect.
Like, yes, yeah.
certainly.
You owe them your honesty or, something along those lines. And that's, it's something that now, confronted with something by a loved one that I don't necessarily love, I'm going to absolutely be thinking about.
But
Like,
if,
do I give them my honest opinion if I don't love it, or and if you do love it and it is your honest opinion, then tell them, make sure that they know that.
It would be really funny if after the movie, Bryce was like, "I thought your bookshelf sucked."
she loved the bookshelf.
Oh, good.
She thought it was good.
Good, I'm glad.
But yeah, those were not real bookshelves. I was also a big proponent of pushing the couch against the wall, which they did not want to do. Which actually, I still am torn after having seen it, whether or not it would have been better against the wall. I think it works. But
We should have gotten a center couch cut and compared and contrast and seen.
It would have been fun.
Might have been a little too like centered.
Right.
Wouldn't have felt totally real.
A little Wes Anderson-y.
I didn't want to say it.
Yeah, no, I'll say it. It's fine. But
Yeah.
it was really cool kind of seeing how they go about my little stupid little rookie brain being like, this is what it should be, and then they're
Sure.
like, no. Yeah, fun stuff. And I worked really late night one time. I wanted to tell this story real quick. One of my last nights working on the movie, I got called in at about noon. And they said they won't need us for a bit to hang out around the area. And it was me and one other set dresser, and we were told to just hang out. We don't know when we'll need you. And it ended up being around like 6:30 or 7. And when we got called in, we had to go reset like 10 bookshelves that were like 9 feet long, that were stacked up to the ceiling, and they had rearranged every single book that was on those shelves and moved them around. And I was like, man, this better be an important bit of the film. And it turned out that the reason that they had moved them around was that they were behind a glass wall that you could see from the other room that they were shooting in, and there was a whiteboard blocking all of them. And I had to go back and put exactly in the same order that they were in, according to the reset photos, all of the books that were in that room. So I left work that night at about 2:30 in the morning. And they didn't even get seen, which, again, kind of part of the gig, which I learned on
That happened to
one
my dad
and other
in,
ones as well.
in Seabiscuit. He was an extra,
Really?
and like they
Oh,
were
no
like
way.
panned on the crowd, and they cut right before they got him.
Oh man, yeah, that's rough. That's just kind of how it goes. Everybody has those stories who's been involved at all in any kind of filmmaking, and it's sort of just how it goes.
For sure.
It's it also it makes for a fun story. So I'm not I also got paid, so I'm not going to complain.
Yeah,
but it's,
no, you had fun. It was a good time.
Had fun, and I actually, that was the day I met Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who was the nicest person you can even imagine. I seriously,
She's like
went above and beyond to make us feel like we were needed and kind, and the praise that we were lumping onto her was not like too much or whatever. It was just she actually said, upon hearing, "I love all your work, I don't know what to say." Which, yes, you do. You've heard that a million times.
Yeah, of course you do.
That is very, very, very nice of you to say that. But yeah.
Yeah, I feel like if my mom wasn't my mom, I would want Julia Louis-Dreyfus to be my mom.
I think that's very fair.
What else was I gonna say? Oh, I liked when they were in the various bookstores, or they were showing what she was reading. I appreciated how close it was to what I was reading at that time.
Yeah.
She was reading Crossroads by Jonathan Franzen, and I was like, I was also going through an unrelated emotional crisis while I was reading that
Reading
book
Crossroads
in
by
early
Franzen.
2022.
Sure. Yeah,
So, again, hits close to home.
Yeah.
That's just a great movie.
It taps into something. It is. It's
I really enjoyed it.
It's nice to see that these movies are being made again, and I enjoyed my time working on it. I liked everybody that I worked with. Cast and crew were fantastic. And it was just good experience for me all around to both work on it and see it. So can't recommend enough. Just go give it a watch. If you are at all a creative person, you will be able to connect to it, I'm sure, at some level. And it's again, I also don't need to be caping for it or whatever.
Yeah, no,
because
sure.
I only worked on the bookshelves
You
and
just
the
liked it.
curtains, but it's just a good movie, and
You don't have any stake in the
I have
movie.
no points.
They
on
didn't,
the movie.
give me
Yeah.
any points.
Yeah, no, nothing like that. Just it's just nice to kind of see a fun little movie.
You're not the executive producer.
Yeah, no,
You were the
unfortunately
shelf
not.
guy.
I was the shelf guy and curtain guy
And the curtain
lamp
guy.
guy
And the lamp guy.
and bed guy.
Oh, man. They were the...
and couch guy for some of
Okay.
it. But yeah,
Do you have anything else to say about it, or I think I'm good.
that's it. I think I liked Tobias Menzies' American accent. I thought it kind
yeah.
of broke a bit here
Sure.
and there, but it was fun to watch him try.
That has been this week's Mudville. This was a little bit of a longer episode, which was good because we couldn't go outside because the air is World War VII.
Poison.
So,
by the time this releases, odds are if you're in New York, you also won't be able to go outside yet either.
Mm-hmm.
So give us a listen.
Hopefully we haven't passed out from carbon monoxide poisoning by
Of
the
course.
time you listen.
We're gonna hope.
But
We're doing all right. Apartment
Yeah.
doesn't smell, so we're good.
if you are listening on Apple or Spotify or whatever, please give us a 5-star rating. Leave a nice review. It would help us out a lot.
Absolutely.
I know you get it a lot. We aren't YouTube influencers or whatever, but we would really appreciate it.
We're
We're
doing
still
our
new.
best here to make as as good weekly content as we can.
We're
And
trying
it's,
to make it happen.
Yeah, we're enjoying it. I think we've done now 13 episodes.
This
so
is
it's-
unlucky number 13.
yeah. Although I think
God.
it was pretty good.
I think so too. For
Feels good.
for episode number 13 that took place during the apocalypse, I think. Yeah, I think it
all
was pretty
things
good.
considered, not bad.
Well, this has been Mudville. I've been Nolan Raybine.
I've been Brody Stout.
Thanks for listening.
I'll see you guys next week.